After more than 2 years of wading through diplomatic treacle to come up with a deal to leave the European Union, it seems the British Parliament is likely to regard the whole thing as a bit like an unwanted Christmas present. The latest economic analysis of Theresa May's hard-fought compromise suggests it would leave the UK about $140 billion worse off over the next 10 years, while being tied to a trading relationship with Europe. That's a long way from the promises of Brexit, making the country stronger, freed from the shackles of the EU.
It is independent, genuine and believable, and it shows unequivocally that leaving the European Union imposes considerable costs on people's living standards, about £1,000 a year at the end of the projection period.
With just over a fortnight to go before the British Parliament votes on the deal, all the signs are it will be rejected, and then it's completely unknown territory for the UK. Losing the vote would automatically lead the UK to face the prospects of falling out of the European Union with no deal, a prospect which has limited support inside Parliament because of the enormous economic uncertainty it would lead to. To prevent no deal, May could go back to the EU and try to negotiate a little more before having another go at getting it through Parliament. But any instability in the financial markets might help scare MPs into voting her bill through on a second attempt. But whether the EU would agree is another matter. If the deal is voted down, the main opposition Labour Party can table a no-confidence motion. Their preferred option is for a general election to follow, although quite what their position on Brexit would be is unclear. It's hard to see any Conservative MPs voting for this. The idea of a second referendum, or so-called people's vote, is gaining momentum, although many MPs are still firmly against the idea. To get this through, the government must bring forward special legislation. The Prime Minister would also face enormous pressure to resign, a question she keeps dodging. Between now and the vote, she has to win hearts and minds in Parliament and across the country.
And I can say to the House with absolute certainty that there is not a better deal available. And my fellow leaders were very clear on that themselves yesterday. Our duty as a Parliament over these coming weeks is to examine this deal in detail, to debate it respectfully, to listen to our constituents and decide what is in our national interest.
But all the parliamentary arithmetic is against her, and her opponents smell blood.
Is it not in the national interest for the Prime Minister to plough on when it's clear this deal does not have the support of either side of this House or the country as a whole?
The strategy now inside Downing Street is for the Prime Minister to go over the heads of MPs and speak directly to the electorate, to say that her interpretation of Brexit, an end to mass immigration while keeping the wheels of industry turning, is the best that people can hope for. It could be said it is the closest approximation to why a small majority of people voted leave in the referendum. But opinion is against her, and time is running out. Laurence, Al Jazeera, Westminster in London.